There's this quiet revolution happening right now in medical schools. Technology is completely changing how we train our future doctors. But here's the catch. Without a really clear plan, that whole revolution could just fizzle out. So let's get into why that is.
Just think about it for a second. We expect our doctors to use the most incredible advanced tools, right? We're talking AI for diagnostics, robotic surgery, telehealth, you name it. But have you ever stopped to wonder if their training is actually keeping up with their tools? That one question, well, that's exactly what we're digging into today.
Okay, so this image you see here, this is basically our roadmap for the whole conversation. It perfectly shows that evolution of medical training, starting with those traditional roots on the left, and then growing step by step into this future where technology is just woven into everything. We're going to break down every single stage of this really critical journey.
So let's start right at the beginning. If we want to understand where we're going, we first have to get a handle on where we are. What are the real challenges that medical schools are up against right now?
In this slide, this nails the core problem. Health Professions Education, or HPE. It's built on a long history of traditional teaching. So when you try to just cram new things like AI or data analytics into a curriculum that's already bursting at the seams, it's not easy. This isn't just a software issue, it's a structural one. It means we have to rethink how we teach medicine from the ground up.
So, how in the world does a huge institution get past that kind of inertia? Well, it definitely doesn't happen by accident. You need a catalyst, a spark. And in this case, that spark is a totally new kind of leadership, one that's designed for the digital age.
And listen, this is not just about being the tech-savvy person who knows how to fix the Wi-Fi. No way. Digital educational leadership is all about the strategic use of technology. It's about building a whole culture that gets excited about new tools, that uses data to figure out what's actually working, and that can guide everyone through the, frankly, massive complexities of this new world.
So what does a leader like this actually do all day? Well, it's a huge balancing act. They need this incredible, clear vision, almost like a telescope pointed at the future. But they also have to be on the ground, solving tricky problems, figuring out how to fit all the pieces of tech and curriculum together. They're driving real transformation, managing data, and, this is so important, they're protecting everyone by tackling challenges like data privacy and making sure the technology is fair for all students.
But look, a great leader is only half of the equation, right? They can't navigate this incredibly complicated territory without a map, and that's where standards come in. They are the essential roadmap that makes sure everything is done with quality and consistency.
I love this analogy. Think of digital standards as a compass. In a world where a new piece of tech seems to pop up every single day, these standards provide a steady, reliable direction. They make sure every single department and every single educator is pointed toward the same true north, a high-quality, truly effective digital education.
So, first things first, quality. Standards basically set the bar. They create these super clear guidelines for the curriculum, for how students are graded, and even for how the faculty get trained. This is what guarantees that every student, no matter what program they're in, gets a consistently excellent education.
Second, standards help leaders make smarter decisions based on actual evidence. See, when everyone is using the same digital tools in a consistent way, you get really clean, valuable data. Leaders can then look at that data and see which teaching methods are hitting home, where students might be struggling, and how to best use their resources to make learning even better.
Third, and this one is so crucial, standards are all about equity. By setting rules for accessible digital platforms and standardized ways of teaching, schools can make sure that every single learner has an equal shot at success, no matter what their background is or how they learn best.
And finally, standards connect these schools to the rest of the world. When a university's digital practices are lined up with global benchmarks, it suddenly becomes way easier to collaborate with other top institutions, to share amazing new resources, and to make sure their graduates are ready to compete on an international stage.
Okay, so we've got the leaders and we've got the standards, but how does all this theory actually translate into a real classroom? Let's open up the toolkit and look at the specific frameworks and models that educators are using to bring this whole vision to life.
Yeah, this isn't just happening in a bubble. It's a coordinated effort happening all over the globe. You've got major players like ISTE and UNESCO, plus regional groups in the EU and the UK, who have all developed these really powerful frameworks. And while each one has a slightly different focus, they all share one common goal: to give teachers a clear, proven structure for using technology in a way that actually works.
Now, one of the most popular models out there for educators is called SAMR. It's a beautifully simple but really powerful way for a teacher to stop and ask themselves, okay, am I just using this shiny new tech to do the same old thing, or am I actually transforming how my students learn? It's like a ladder that moves them from a simple substitution all the way up to a powerful redefinition.
Let's break this down with a medical school example. Substitution, that's just swapping a heavy textbook for a PDF. Augmentation is when that PDF has searchable text, a little better. But the real magic starts at modification. That's like using an interactive 3D anatomy model instead of a flat diagram. But the ultimate goal, the top of the ladder, is redefinition. That's using virtual reality to let a student simulate a complex surgery, something that was literally impossible in an old school classroom. That is where true transformation happens.
So, we've talked about the leadership, the standards, and the tools. After all this hard work, after this entire journey, what's the destination? What does success actually look like in the end?
And here we are, right back to our original roadmap. But now we can see the destination so clearly. The goal is what's called a digitally driven medical education. It's a whole ecosystem where graduates aren't just trained in medicine, they are fully equipped with the digital skills, the ethical understanding, and the adaptability they need to thrive in the high-tech, constantly changing world of modern healthcare.
All of this brings us to one last, really crucial question. We know what the future of medical training can and should look like. The challenge for all of us now is this: how do we make sure this future isn't just a luxury for a few elite schools, but the fundamental right of every single student who will one day be responsible for our health?